Welcome back to the Charlene Effect, where we uncover the subtle psychology of attraction, relationships, and human behavior to help you see the signals most people completely miss. What if the biggest sign that a woman is attracted to you isn't a smile, a compliment, or even flirting? What if it's hidden inside two simple questions that most men over 50 dismiss as ordinary conversation? Stay with me, because once you understand the psychology behind these questions, you'll never look at female attraction the same way again. Have you ever noticed that many women rarely flirt in obvious ways? Instead of saying exactly how they feel, they often look for subtle ways to see if you are paying attention, especially if you are a man over 50. They don't want to appear desperate or too eager, so they communicate differently. Very often, a woman who is genuinely interested in an older man will ask two surprisingly specific questions. Most men hear them as casual conversation, but they're actually quiet signals of attraction. Before I explain what those questions are, take a moment to like this video and leave a comment if you've ever realized, long after the moment had passed, that a woman was giving you signs you completely missed. Your support helps this message reach more men who could benefit from understanding these hidden signals. Many men over 50 believe they've become invisible to women, whether those women are younger or closer to their own age. In reality, the opposite is often true. A mature man who carries himself with confidence, emotional balance, and quiet strength can be incredibly attractive. The problem usually isn't a lack of interest from women. The real issue is misunderstanding the way women express attraction. Far too many men mistake genuine interest for simple kindness. They assume she's only making conversation when in reality she's creating opportunities for something deeper. Women rarely reveal attraction in a direct way. Instead, they observe your emotional stability, your confidence, and your ability to notice subtle cues. Once a woman begins seeing you as someone she could trust emotionally and personally, the way she interacts with you changes. Her conversations become more intentional. She starts asking questions that quietly help her discover three important things about you. First, whether you are emotionally grounded and secure. Second, whether your life has room for someone else. And third, whether you're aware enough to recognize sincere interest when it's right in front of you. This is exactly where those two important questions begin to appear. But before we reveal them, it's important to understand why they matter so much. Many men over 50 grew up during a time when people often communicated more directly. Because of that, they naturally expect clear signals. Modern women, including mature women, usually communicate attraction much more subtly. They rarely say, "I'm attracted to you," or "I'd like to get to know you better." Instead, they explore. They test the emotional atmosphere before revealing anything personal. A woman wants to know whether she can move closer without risking embarrassment or rejection. Many women, especially when they're interested in an older man, hesitate to expose their feelings too quickly. They worry about appearing too available or being misunderstood. So rather than expressing attraction openly, they hide it inside thoughtful questions that seem perfectly ordinary. The challenge is that if you don't recognize these quiet invitations, she often won't repeat them. Women usually don't keep offering emotional openings after they've been ignored once. Female psychology is naturally layered. While men often show interest through actions like helping, protecting, or solving problems, women frequently express attraction through curiosity. They ask questions that gently create emotional closeness. Although a woman may ask countless questions during everyday conversation, two of them appear again and again when she is sincerely exploring a romantic connection with a mature man. Understand this first. She isn't asking because she's trying to collect personal information. She's trying to experience how you make her feel. Is this man calm? Is he emotionally steady? Is he comfortable with closeness? Is he confident enough to receive feminine energy without becoming awkward or distant? These questions aren't really about getting answers. They're about building connection. Each one creates a small emotional bridge between the two of you. She's quietly inviting you to step onto it. If you respond with confidence, presence, and genuine warmth, something begins to shift inside her. Most men answer these questions literally and move on. A more emotionally aware man recognizes that there's often something deeper happening beneath the words. When a woman feels attracted to you, she's rarely impressed by stories about your success, your money, or your accomplishments. What she truly wants is the feeling that you're present, emotionally grounded, and comfortable in yourself. The first question she asks is designed to discover one thing: your availability. Not whether you're busy this weekend, but whether your heart and your life have room for someone else. She's quietly asking herself, is this man emotionally open? Is he willing to connect, or has he completely closed himself off? If I move a little closer, will I be welcomed or gently pushed away? Women don't like investing emotionally where there's no possibility of connection. Before revealing more of themselves, they first look for signs that you're open. To many men, this sounds like harmless conversation, but beneath the surface, it's her way of testing whether there's space for something more. The second question focuses on your direction in life. She's not interviewing you about your career or checking your achievements. What she wants to understand is whether your life has purpose, momentum, and quiet masculine stability. She wants to know whether you're still growing, still moving forward, and whether you live with intention rather than simply existing day by day. Women rarely feel safe opening their hearts to a man he seems to be drifting through life. They naturally gravitate toward a man who feels grounded, confident in himself, and clear about where he is going. That second question is really her way of discovering something much deeper. She is quietly asking herself, does this man have emotional stability? Does he know who he is? Would I feel secure around him? Does he have healthy boundaries, or is he simply moving through life without direction? She isn't searching for facts. She's trying to understand the man beneath the surface. While physical attraction may catch her attention, it is a man's presence that makes her want to move closer. That question allows her to imagine what it would actually feel like to share time, emotions, and eventually intimacy with you. For men over 50, these moments carry even greater meaning. At this stage of life, many women naturally assume an older man has already lived through most of his important relationships and emotional experiences. Because of that, they hesitate before entering his world. They want reassurance that they won't simply become another passing chapter in his story. These two simple questions may sound ordinary, but they quietly reveal whether there is room for someone new in your life and whether you're living with purpose instead of simply passing the time. A compliment can be overlooked. A smile or lingering glance can be missed. But if you fail to recognize these questions for what they truly are, you may miss the exact moment she is opening the door to a deeper connection. And once that opportunity disappears, many women won't offer it again. When a woman wants more than casual conversation with an older man, when she's interested in genuine emotional and physical closeness, she often relies on two questions that appear in different cultures, age groups, and backgrounds, because they come from the same feminine instinct. The first question is, do you spend much time by yourself? On the surface, it sounds completely innocent, but there is much more behind it. What she's really asking is there space for someone else in his life? Is he emotionally available, or has he become closed off? Could someone become part of his world, or is he completely committed to being alone? She may ask it in different ways. Do you usually go places by yourself? Are you someone who enjoys being alone most of the time? Have you mostly been doing your own thing lately? Are you seeing anyone these days? None of these questions are really about loneliness. They're about access. A woman only asks because somewhere in her mind she has already imagined herself sharing a small part of your life. She's trying to discover whether you'd welcome that possibility or whether you've emotionally locked the door. If she had no attraction toward you, your daily routine wouldn't matter to her. But when she feels drawn to the calm confidence many mature men naturally develop, she wants to know whether there is room for her, without having to force herself into your life. Many men answer too literally. Yes, I spend most of my time alone. Not really, it depends. A more aware man hears the deeper meaning. He understands she is quietly measuring emotional openness. The best response is calm, confident, and relaxed. You might say, I enjoy having my own space, but I always appreciate good company. Or, I like the life I've built, but I'm always open to meeting someone who brings something meaningful to it. That kind of answer accomplishes two things. It shows that you're emotionally available without sounding lonely or desperate. At the same time, it gently lets her know that someone special could have a place in your life. This is exactly the balance many women find attractive. A man who is comfortable on his own, yet genuinely open to the right person. He feels secure, warm, and emotionally steady, rather than needy or emotionally distant. When she senses that balance, she's often ready to ask the second question, the one that reveals even stronger interest. That question is, what are you looking for these days? This isn't ordinary conversation. It isn't something she asks every man she meets. It's usually reserved for someone she's beginning to picture as a possible romantic partner. If she had no interest, the question would feel too personal to ask. Instead, she saves it for the man she believes could play an important role in her future. She may word it differently. What are you hoping for at this point in your life? What are you focused on these days? Where do you see your life going? What matters most to you right now? What are you hoping to find? Although the wording changes, the purpose remains the same. She's trying to understand your direction. Before a woman allows herself to become emotionally or physically close to a mature man, she wants to know that he has purpose. She wants to feel that he understands himself, knows what he wants, and is intentionally creating the life he's living. She's asking herself, is this someone whose path I could comfortably walk beside? Does he lead his life with confidence? Does he have emotional direction, meaningful goals, and healthy relationship values? Is he someone I could trust with my heart? Many men unintentionally weaken the moment by giving vague answers. I'm just trying to relax. I'm taking life one day at a time. I honestly don't know. While those answers may sound harmless, they can leave the impression that there is no clear direction. Women are generally drawn toward men who seem purposeful rather than uncertain, regardless of age. The strongest response doesn't require a long speech or an explanation of your entire life story. All she really wants to hear is that you're living intentionally, that you're emotionally grounded, and that you know the kind of life and the kind of relationship you want to build. You don't need to give a long explanation. What matters is showing that your life has direction. You could say something like, I'm building a life that's simpler, stronger, and shared with the right people. Or, I'm looking for relationships that feel genuine instead of forced. You might also say, right now, I'm focused on living intentionally, creating meaningful experiences, and enjoying life with people who truly matter. Answers like these quietly communicate three important things. They show that your life is moving forward instead of standing still. They reveal that you have emotional clarity and know what you're looking for. Most importantly, they leave room for her to imagine herself becoming part of that future. For many women, that is incredibly attractive. It reassures her that you're emotionally present rather than simply going through the motions of life. This is something many men over 50 never fully recognize. Women aren't only looking for a man who is physically there. They're drawn to a man who feels emotionally alive, engaged with life, and fully present. That is why these two questions carry so much weight. Women don't ask them by chance. They ask them when they feel emotionally ready to explore a deeper connection. When she asks whether you spend a lot of time alone, she's quietly trying to understand your emotional openness. When she asks what you're looking for these days, she's trying to understand your direction. The psychology behind it is surprisingly simple. A man who is open to connection while living with purpose naturally creates emotional attraction. He feels safe, confident, and interesting to be around. Women aren't searching for perfection. They're searching for clarity. Clear intentions create emotional security, and emotional security allows attraction to grow. That's why these questions appear so consistently, even when the woman asking them doesn't consciously realize why. Imagine a simple everyday situation. You're talking with a woman at a coffee shop, browsing in a bookstore, visiting friends, or even chatting online. The conversation flows naturally. She smiles a little longer than expected. She plays with her hair, maintains warm eye contact, and seems completely comfortable around you. Then she casually asks, "Do you spend much time by yourself?" That is often her first emotional step toward you. She's opening the door just enough to see whether you'll notice. If your response is relaxed, confident, and emotionally open, she feels encouraged to continue. If you become defensive, confused, or emotionally unavailable, the energy often disappears almost immediately. Later, whether it's later that evening or days afterward, another question appears. So, what are you looking for at this stage of your life? This is usually the second emotional step. Now she's deciding whether moving closer to you makes sense. If your answer reflects confidence and purpose, she begins imagining what sharing life with you could feel like. If your answer sounds uncertain or directionless, she often pulls back without ever explaining why. Many men assume these conversations are random. They aren't. They're emotional checkpoints. Women rarely ask both of these questions unless they already feel some level of attraction. So remember this. A woman who wants something deeper usually won't announce it directly. She won't openly confess her feelings or chase you. Instead, she'll quietly ask questions. Do you spend much time alone? She's asking whether your life has room for her. What are you looking for these days? She's asking whether your life has direction she could comfortably become part of. Neither question is really about facts. Both are about your emotional energy. When you recognize what's happening beneath the words, you respond with greater confidence, awareness, and presence. When you miss the meaning behind them, the opportunity often slips away unnoticed. Many women won't repeat the same emotional invitation after it's been ignored. If there's one lesson worth remembering, it's this. A woman isn't only paying attention to what you say. She's paying attention to how you carry yourself while saying it. She notices your confidence, your emotional steadiness, your awareness, and the feeling you create in the moment. When you understand the quiet questions women use to express interest, you'll stop wondering whether she's attracted to you because you'll recognize the signals long before they're spoken directly. Before you leave, support the community by commenting, "I see the signs." It lets us know this message connected with you, and it helps this video reach more men who can benefit from understanding these subtle but powerful relationship dynamics. Women often communicate attraction through emotion rather than direct words, and these signals can easily go unnoticed by men who expect obvious signs. This becomes even more important for mature men. Women naturally view older men through a different lens. They expect greater emotional maturity, stronger presence, and a clearer sense of purpose. A younger man may still be discovering who he is, and that uncertainty is often accepted as part of his journey. A man over 50, however, is usually expected to know himself, understand what he wants, and live with intention. That's why a woman's attraction often appears through thoughtful questions instead of bold gestures. When she asks about your openness or your direction, she isn't collecting information. She's trying to understand your emotional world. She's asking herself a quiet but important question. If I step toward this man, will I find warmth, confidence, purpose, and emotional safety? For many women, the answer to that question determines whether the connection grows or quietly fades away. The strongest connections are rarely built through obvious words. They begin with quiet moments, subtle questions, and genuine presence. Learn to recognize these signals, stay true to who you are, and let your confidence come from clarity, not performance. If this message helped you see attraction in a new way, like this video, subscribe to Caroline Effect, and I'll see you in the next one.